All right, seventh grade, we are going to finish up today our section on the place of three cultures. And yesterday we finished talking about the Mexican Revolution and how it took 80 years for Mexicans to finally elect somebody who wasn't a part of the Institutional Revolutionary Party. And this is, like I said yesterday, this was Vicente Fox. He was part of the National Action Party, and he is since now no longer the president. There's another guy from the Institutional Revolutionary Party who did get back into power. His name is Felipe Calderon. But we're going to pick up right from here and head on to the rest of our notes. We got about maybe 5-10 minutes to go, but it shouldn't be too terrible. So here we go. It's not letting me go. Here we go. All right. Now, in rural life, social conditions in general in Mexico, Mexico really worked very hard to try to preserve their Native American way of life as best as possible. They also wanted to make sure that they were able to keep their mestizo and Spanish heritages as well. So nearly all Mexicans today use Spanish as their official language. We know that. They don't speak Mexican, they speak Spanish. In the Native American life, they speak their own ancestral languages at home. They also have religious freedom in Mexico even today, and most Mexicans are Roman Catholic because when Spain came over, they were very big on spreading Christianity and bringing that into the country of Mexico. Today in rural life, most people in Mexico that live in the countryside work in agriculture. And what happened was after the revolution with the Mexican dictators, the government started to break up these large haciendas, and they wanted to give land to what used to be peasants, but now just Native Americans. So they went through a process called land redistribution, where about half of the haciendas were broken up, and that land was divided up into estates and given to all these landless peasants. So people like this guy here who's at the well, he maybe had nothing and could have been a peasant, and then after land redistribution, he would get at least a little piece of land where he no longer had to rent or be under the power of somebody else, and he could just farm whatever he wanted. Now, the government awarded most of the reclaimed land in the form of ejidos. This is farmland that's owned collectively by members of a rural community. So, if you live out in the country, Beaverbrook, Basha, whatever, you might own some farmland. What they would do is they would kind of cordon it off like we would think today as like big square miles. And they would take these big square miles and they'd say, all right, now we're going to give this land to 20 of you to share. And you would all have to work cooperatively on this land. And essentially what these people are doing is they're doing subsistence farming. Because since not all the land is theirs, they kind of take their own little chunk and they only grow enough crops to meet their family's needs. And that's what most of the farmers on the ejidos do, mainly because they're kind of forced to do it this way. Now, here you can see where the different ejidos are located, and you can see down here in the southern part of Mexico, we have a large amount of ejidos. And then through the central plateau here, this is Chihuahua, and then Durango. You can see they have large amounts of ejidos as well. And this was in, 1991. Now, about a third of Mexican farms are really large commercial farms. Either they're owned by individuals or they're owned by large companies. Those commercial farms are called latifundios. In these places, we're going to raise cash crops, where we grow crops specifically to sell and try to make a profit. They're going to grow things like corn, sugarcane, coffee, fruit. And you're going to see more high-tech things on these farms as well, such as irrigation like you're seeing here, where we're able to go out and farm in places maybe we wouldn't normally be able to. Now, in our rural life as well, we have a lot of migrant workers. About 3 to 4 million rural Mexican families either have no land at all or they don't have opportunities for work, so they're kind of forced to go find it. And in a lot of cases, these extra workers are needed to cultivate or harvest crops, and they will move, a lot of them illegally, into the United States. And they are willing to go over big barriers to get there, and sometimes it's life-threatening. And what I'll do is there's a link down here in the bottom corner. Obviously, I'm not going to put it on and watch it right now, but we would normally watch this in class. So what I'll do is I'll copy and paste this link into your email along with the link to this video, and you can watch that if you want instead of student news. But it's a CBS video from 60 minutes, and it's really interesting. You can go to see just how much trouble a lot of these migrant workers will go to to get to the United States. Now, in urban life, obviously the heart of the modern Mexican culture is in its urban areas, and its largest urban area by far is Mexico City. About 3/4 of Mexico's population lives in an urban area. Some of the other larger cities, Monterrey, Tijuana, Acapulco, some of those cities. But Mexico City is by far our largest. And it's one of the largest urban areas in the world, and it's still growing at a pretty incredible rate. And this is one of the big roundabouts in the middle of Mexico City. So here you can see just the sheer amount of population. Also very kind of a dirty city. You can see the amount of smog and just pollution in Mexico City. It's not exactly clean. Now, as far as economic activity, in 1993, the United States, Canada, and Mexico all met together and they started an organization called NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. This is a free trade network between North American countries. We also talked about this in our time with Canada. So what this is designed to do, it doesn't really help us so much in the United States, but it increases manufacturing and unemployment. It will decrease as a result because Mexico can now produce things and not have to pay taxes or import or export fees with the United States and Canada to sell goods. So this is definitely a win for Mexico. Now, some of their major industries, two of their most important economic activities are petroleum and tourism. We talked a little bit already about the Gulf Coast of Mexico and how along the Gulf of Mexico we have lots of petroleum and natural gas fields in these areas. And they have Pemex, which we talked about already, the gas stations, which is government owned. It's kind of like Quick Trip or BP, except it's ran by the people of Mexico. They also have very sandy beaches in this area, wonderful climates. This is why we're going to places like Mazatlan, Acapulco, Cancun, visit the Yucatan, all these nice exotic places where people literally from all over the world will come to Mexico and spend money. So they definitely make a lot of money with petroleum and tourism. So, I mean, who doesn't want to go here? I'd go there. I think you probably would too. Now, along the border, we have what we call border industries. Right along the United States-Mexico border, there are more than 1,000 maquiladoras. And maquiladoras are very specific factories that assemble products specifically for the United States. When I taught in Arizona, I had a lot of kids that were originally from Mexico whose family members worked in maquiladoras along the border. And the one particularly that a lot of the family members worked at, they made dice, like for card games and different gambling games in Las Vegas. That was their job. And these maquiladoras employ a lot of people, over 1 million Mexicans. And these maquiladoras have also helped to expand northern Mexican cities. Places like Monterrey have gotten longer, Ciudad Juarez, Tijuana. People now, instead of going all the way over the border into the United States, some of them will stay in these border industries and stay in these maquiladoras and work. And we also, with more of a population, we also get more pollution in these areas too. A lot of these factories have been accused of air and water pollution, improper disposal of their waste products. So the Mexican government continues to this day to try to encourage job growth while trying to monitor the impact that these factories have and industry has on the environment. So that is the last slide right there. So what I want you to do at this point is you can start working on your 10.2, and I also want you to then watch Student News, or if you want to watch a 60 minutes video, you can do that as well. So have a good weekend, and we'll see you all on Monday with everything ready to go to be corrected.